Hi, I'm Robert Allen. I'm here tonight with Tim Motor and Ken Tomorrow. Tim Motor has a new book out, The Angel of Coincidence from Inkfist Press. Just come out. Thanks, Tim, for doing that. We thought we'd celebrate by having a little reading tonight, a short reading. And after the reading, if once you're done, you look in the discussion box on YouTube, you'll see all the information for how to get Tim's new book. So we can start right away. Tim, would you like to go ahead and tell us a bit about yourself and read some poems?
Sure. Thank you very much, Robert. My name is Tim Motor. I'm a poet up in Wisconsin, in northern Wisconsin right now. I just had a chapbook come out with Inkfish Press. It's called The Angel of Coincidence. I'm going to read a couple of poems from that. I've been writing poetry for a few years, and I do have a couple other chapbooks out. You can find some stuff at timmotor.com if you want to take a look and see what I got. This book was written my ex-wife, my first wife, and I, we have three kids together. She passed away a couple of years ago from cancer, so some of these poems came out of that. All right, so I'm just going to read this one first. This one's called The Night Before Your Funeral. How and why? I would scream at the sky if I were younger. I am not sure I have the energy to finish that fight. Instead, I remember walking along cracked sidewalks at the university where we made love. Young rain below arching stairs, drops falling from a brazed railing, rusted tears and pooling eyes disguised among the downpour. I simply wish. There's an echo here of laughter, thunder, promises before divine witness. I have to go. I have to make it home to break. My numb head held in calloused hands to cry while others sleep. Undecided over ashtrays, I pick up, set down finished books, stare through an open window into shadows of an awful light. And then there's not a lot of happy poems in here. They're not all terribly tragic, but this one is called How Taffy the Light Becomes. Between ice and ice are summer days, families on display at rented cabins, keys picked up on Sunday mornings, corners cleaned on Sunday afternoons, paddle boats blue and white, upside down, inviting, mist match, pots and pans, screen doors spring, then slam, flowers flat on the bottom of hot feet escaped freshly minted yards to leap from docks dragged over weed beds where actual fish suspended muscle silent arias from perfectly shaped O's. Remember this through smoky sundown visions as the fire pops and the knots untie. How taffy the light becomes. And then I'll read one more. Um, Most of them are in this book are pretty short. You can get this book on Amazon. I know some people are not thrilled with Amazon and are doing a boycott of Amazon, I think, right now. And if that's something that anyone's doing, I respect that. You can find me and I'll be happy to send you a copy. We'll figure it out somehow. The last one I'm going to read is called My Side of the Bed. This was published recently in Roy Fournier. I think that's how you pronounce it. And what does that mean, Robert?
Nothing, King.
Yes, and I like that. Again, this one's called My Side of the Bed. I feel your fingers work my hair like a jar of butterflies. You're laying sideways on my pillow, and you worry I won't feel you, just your fingers. With my begging head pressed against the pulse of your breast, you trace letters on my back for me to guess. Slow letters in a carnal code. You say, now do me. I do. I worry you won't remember me either after the skin has settled and the sun comes up and a blackberry stained porcelain bowl rejoices in the kitchen sink. You say, let's not get up, but you will. And the picture will swirl and the places will change. Eventually, after a life, I'll be the only one left who remembers, and I will, as an early translation of a lost manuscript that I quote in my sleep. When the feeling goes out of my body and my eyes smile politely, and my side of the bed forgets everything but your fingers. So those are that. Very good. Thanks again for doing this, Robert, and thanks for anyone who's watching. Ken tomorrow is going to read some poetry. Ken, would you like to read a little bit?
I would. Thank you. Ken Tomorrow, poet from Cleveland, Ohio. I have three chapbooks coming out this year. I'm going to be reading from one that's already come out called My Mind is a Cherry Pit Withering in the Sun. It's available on Bottle Cap Press. I have a website too, just kentomorrow.com, where there's a ton of stuff and free poetry. Um, First one is Imaginary Rubber Ball. I close my eyes and go back to a time in my childhood, maybe even the teen years. Neither was as bad as I told myself at the time. If anything, I'm more filled with angst as a grown-ass adult. Back then, anxious about breaking a $3 vase. Now, wondering if the cancer will get me or my heart will give out. Back then, nervous about being called on in class when I didn't have the answer. Now, will the job last? Will the IRS call? Will the tires on my car hold? I go back to a place and time in my childhood, often and with reason. This thing called teen angst has lasted 50 years, and it was never as bad then as it is now. Closing my eyes and remembering is the only escape there is. If you see me on the street and my eyes are closed and my arm is moving up and down as if I had the palsy, it's because there's an imaginary rubber ball I am bouncing on the sidewalk and off the schoolyard walls. My hair is a mess. My pants are too short. I'm in my little world, a world where nothing exists, nothing except simplicity. Of the many overrated things, pick up a clump of dirt and you will know what it's like to hold millions of years in the palm of your hand. The child will look wide-eyed at it in complete and utter amazement. An adult will look at it as nothing but a nuisance, something unclean, unnecessary, those same adults who don't think twice of wiping their own asses. Last one is called Being Too Eager Can Actually Kill You. The flowers poke through the dirt much too early this year, eventually falling over and withering to brittle brownish piles on the ground because they were impatient. We all are at one time or another, and they say time is irrelevant, a construct, but sometimes a little more time is what we need to keep ourselves upright. That's all I've got. Robert, would you like to read some?
Yes, I would. Thanks, Ken. My name is Robert Allen. I'm a poet and tutor. I live in Oakland. Um, my website is robertallen.com. If you want to go take a look at some things I've published and a chapbook I have out. The first poem I'd like to read is called Housework. It was published in Spill Words magazine. Housework. We pulled the stones from their places, leaving spaces where no love stayed. We tore beams from the ceiling. We pulled passion from under the floorboards. The house crumbled and fell like someone shot in the heart. Be it ever so humbled, there is no place. The next one is called Manic Hydrant. I always have to take a breath before I read it. Manic Hydrant. One day after a week of mental shakes and confusion, I suddenly stopped sleeping for 5 days, I'm told. My brain was in flames. Voices were telling me to expand, to open, to be free. Angels called me to ecstasy, to extend in space like a whirling dynamo. Their voices were flowers in the wind, sweet, solemn, and fragrant, more a scent than a voice. It was the highest joy imaginable, yet everything still stood apart. Nothing made sense. A blur of whirling energies surrounded me and swallowed me whole. I was and I was not, and the ground simply disappeared me. Just months before, all had been well. Something in the autumn wind shifted. A blaze took my house, once a summer yellow. was now the color of ashes and grief, smoldering in the woods in unwanted cold dark heat. Burned, it took years to recover and breathe. When I finally breathed, it was lake water calm and golden sun warm, and calm easing the fluctuations of mind and song. A house on fire needs the flames called outwardly, the mind on fire. And thanks. Just again, we're here tonight with Ken Tomorrow and Tim Motor to celebrate Tim Motor's new book, The Angel of Coincidence. Do you want to hold that up again for us
Yep.
one more
That's what
time?
we're doing.
Awesome. Definitely a great chapbook and worth your time. Check out Inkfish Press or timmotor.com to get information on how to purchase it. And thanks so much for listening tonight. And congratulations, Tim. That's awesome.
Thank you.
And everybody have a wonderful evening.